Hi beautiful people, this is the deliberations of Dec, Unassisted, with his trusty paint stirring stick, the symbol of all. And it's not unassisted really, because we never are, none of us. This vehicle, this mask, this persona is a dead thing. If the consciousness goes away, this just returns to soil from where it came to. So we're all channeling higher energies, and that's quite important. The main purpose for this is to cover some of what the sprites said yesterday, and it's a multi-dimensional image that I receive and only a bit of it gets out, so I'll fill in some holes. Right, the paint stirring stick, for those that haven't seen it before, this is because in this case I'm talking about our three-dimensional reality, and it's the minimum number of dimensions that you can exist in and still have self-referential consciousness. I'll explain why with the stick. Right. So to have a self-referential consciousness, you need an experience and something to receive the experience. Two different things. They might both be two parts of the same thing, but they're two different things. And you need a continuity that connects the experience to the experiencer. So far so good, and we also need difference, variation, so we need time. So we need the time component, giving us 4 dimensions. And we need an ultimate observer, the witness, that experiences the whole thing. And if we put this on the hand, we have the reality, the physicality. We have the vitality receiving the experience. We have the mind analysing the experience, if you like. The vitality is the transmission from physicality to the mind. It's your senses receiving and translating it into the form the mind can receive. And we have the variation, experiencing the time as things change, and we have the witness seeing all of it. So there isn't any lower you can go, because if you take any one part of those out, you're no longer having a self-referential experience. You're no longer fully conscious. You're only getting bits of your consciousness. So we need the whole stick. And you also, the fifth point, you could, rather than the witness, you could see as the stick is made up of bits, and you can see the totality of the stick in time as being the unity, the unifying force of all of it, which is of course your witness. Now, one of the interesting things is we see the stick moving, and if you disregard me for a moment, we can see the stick moving like this, or we can produce the same illusion by doing this. So it's not actually possible for us to tell, because we've got nothing to relate to tell us whether reality is moving around us or whether our consciousness is moving relative to a static reality. And of course science sees reality moving and makes up all these nice laws. But the metaphysical approach is that it's consciousness that moves, that reality is indeed static. And from the point of view of the information field, everything exists, all possibilities exist, and we're just wending our way through a path through all these possibilities. Now, the sprites yesterday were talking about Ascension and Transcension. I suppose this is also where the stick comes in, but we'll just imagine this is the degree of your consciousness, and this is a field of experience, and ascension implies moving your consciousness up through dimensional levels to experience higher and higher vibrations, faster and faster speeds of consciousness, and more dimensions perceived in one go. The interesting thing about being able to perceive higher dimensions is it's difficult to get them down here because, especially if I'm speaking, you've only got a linear string of words, and often what I'm seeing is multiple dimensions at the same time. So, ordinary ascension, which has happened in many other ways, is itself extraordinary. Some of the higher dimensions spend millions, if not billions of years working towards ascending to the next level up. So, ascension itself is fairly short seen in time, happening within long periods of time, so it's pretty rare in itself. But it is extraordinary. It's a unique thing. But what's going to happen here is something else. Okay, some will ascend. Some will experience normal ascension. But it's a transcension, the transmuted ascension. Ascension is just rising. Transcension is going beyond. And the sprites, or rather the bit of a message I got from the sprites yesterday was talking about expanding upwards. But there's an expanding downwards as well. And for that we'll have to come back to this definition of zero, the paradox of zero. Two sides of zero. One side, the positive side, if you look from zero outwards you see a whole load of things, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to infinity. And if you come back towards naught, you have less and less things until you've got nothing, zero, plus zero. But if you go the other side, into the negative numbers, and look out towards minus infinity is the absence of everything. And as you come back towards the zero, there's more and more of everything and less missing from it. Imagine you've got a bag of apples and you take an apple out. You're minus one apple, but you've still got the bag of apples. So minus one means everything except one. So as you come in to minus zero is actually everything. It's everything minus nothing. So you've got the two sides of the zero, one which is nothing and one which is everything. And in between, there is a zone of paradox. And it's that zone of paradox that we exist in. It's that zone of paradox we're clarifying. And you can imagine going up the positive side, you're going up through the levels, through the dimensions to higher and higher beings, to whatever the highest state of being you can conceive to be. But going the other way, you start with everything. This is really the one. Everything in one moment. All possibilities existing simultaneously are on the negative side. And this way, the normal ascension way, is an awful long journey. Going up through the levels, one at a time, getting higher and higher. This way, crossing the boundary is very quick. It's just the other side of the boundary, if you can get across. But we're in the zone of paradox, the zone of confusion. And that's what we're here resolving. So, not only are we going to ascend into the higher levels, but our consciousness is going to expand the other way, and we're going to become the channel, the connection between nothing and everything. That's the true magic. We complete the circle, but this is a circle. This goes round and comes back the other side. And the circle is broken because of the paradox. And we are going to complete that circle. That is our ultimate purpose. From this side, it looks like we're existing on the very boundaries of reality. If we go any further that way, we lose the full nature of consciousness. But if we go past that limit, we experience everything. We experience the one. And that transcension will, at the moment, energy in a cycle can only bounce backwards or forwards because of the gap between the positive and negative zero. But when we create that connection between the two, that energy can go around both directions. So the energy will pass through, and what was a paradox suddenly becomes a living place of light, of love and of harmony. Well, that is the true nature of things. So this is not only rare, it's absolutely and completely unique. It has never happened before. Because if it had happened, we'd already be living in that reality. There wouldn't be any separation from it. And when we have created this miracle, this absolute miracle, there will be no undoing it. Once it's done, full stop. And it's not just done for our little planet and for this little vehicle. Once that magic has happened, that happens for all reality, for the whole universe, for the multiverse, metaverse, whatever you want to call it, the totality. Everything will be changed. Everything will be different. And from our point of view here, these bodies which are currently dead, they might as well be a lump of rock, because that's where they came from. They will then have energy passing through them in both directions, creation and reception, simultaneously. And they will become life and light. Ain't that miraculous, eh? Isn't that such a wonderful thing? But I also wanted to talk about, there are so many bits to this. As I said before, it's like seeing a glass ball with symbols all over it and trying to pick your way through it to make a whole sense of it. So I want to cover emotions. We've talked about the bodies before, the physical body, your physicality, the actual physical structure of you, and the vitality, the going outwards, it's the energy, it's your motivation, your movement, and coming back towards you, it's receiving the sensations of externality through your senses. That's received by the mental body, the mind, which is where your thoughts are, where you receive the impressions and understand and organize, and where you create impulse, mental impulse, to go through the vitality into the physicality to change things out there and to move your hands around. Now here's the emotional body. Now, I think there's a lot of confusion from my point of view, with the emotional body. Emotions are above the mind. The mind doesn't control the emotions control the mind. And emotions are just felt. They don't have to do anything, they're just there. They're vibrations. And if your emotion feels like it has to manifest itself into the outside world, then you need a vital realm to be able to do that, directed by the mind. So all these impulses that I term passions as opposed to emotions are down here in the vital realm, not the emotional realm. Anger is down here. The fight or flight, the fear, is down here. The duality. The desire, the expression, the impulse to covet things, to have things, to want things, is in the vital realm, not the emotional realm. The emotional realm is just is. It's just the experience. And all of that is observed, of course, by the the spiritual realm. And for me this has been a great understanding, because the mind is between the emotions and the vitality. So if your emotions are expressing themselves, they're going through the mind. In other words, your mind, which is where choice lies, you can choose what you think. Your mind is the one that controls your passions. You can choose whether to express your emotions or not, or whether to just experience them. And if you are experiencing them, the emotions are either joy or sadness, which is a preponderance of love or a lack of love. That is all the emotion is. Whether it's a harmonious resonance or a disharmonious resonance, whether it's concordant or discordant. And when you focus with the mind on the one, they're like the tonic note. The one note that perpetuates through all is the tonic, from which all harmonics are generated. And focusing on that takes you to love. Now, I started out being incredibly mental and logical, and ended up finding love. And so my knowing of love came from my gnosis of the one. Because I tuned to the one, I tuned to ultimate love. And one of the problems with following love itself rather than tuning to the one is that love is just harmony. And you can be harmonious with an unharmonious situation. You can feel a sense of belonging and oneness in a gang that has evil intent. You can feel it feels like a sense of love to be a part of the crowd. But if you step outside of that gang, it's disharmonious. And from our limited perspective, us masters of limitation, we're looking from the inside, not from the outside. So sometimes it's difficult to tell what true love is. All of that is solved by going to the one, finding the tonic from which all is a harmony. And if you look at the harmonic series, it goes the tonic, the fifth, the octave, the tonic, the octave, the fifth, the second octave, the third, and then another fifth. The harmonic after that one is dissonant with all of those. It's obviously in harmony with the tonic because it's a harmonic of it, but it's dissonant to the rest of the harmonics. But that dissonant note itself, a higher harmonic still, is in harmony with it. So there are dissonant notes that are in harmony with each other, but dissonant with other notes. And the further up the harmonic sequence you go, the more the dissonant notes predominate. You only have the same amount of harmonic notes in each octave, but as each octave of harmonics you go up, you get progressively more dissonant notes, each time multiplying by a factor of 2. Until we get here, and the dissonance in this reality here, the dissonance we experience as a separation of things. It's essential for our experience. For me to be here and you to be there is an expression of the dissonance. To be able to perceive ourselves as two separate things. If we were in complete harmony, we would be one, there would be no separation and there would be no experience. So an element of dissonance is necessary, but it causes pain and suffering. The separation itself, the limitation itself, is the source of suffering, and it's the price we pay to create the connection, the continuity that joins the paradox, that collapses the duality. Because that duality between everything and nothing is a fundamental expression of the duality of the one void. The void being nothing, plus one, plus zero, and the one being everything, minus zero. Everything minus zero. And they're inseparable. You can't take the one away from the void because there is only one void. And if you ask what the nature of one is, well, it's void. You can have one elephant, one atomic bomb, but the nature of one is nothing itself. And as we create this continuity, we collapse that paradox down into the one void as one thing. And that is the true purpose of our nature here. And if we look with our vital realm at the suffering and the wrongs that we perceive, and we use judgment, which is a dualistic thing, and blame, as the sprites have said, from blaspheme, and damning. Damning causes damage. They come from the same root. Damnation. Damage is caused by the separation and the discord. But ultimately, all of it is in harmony with the one. And in collapsing and creating the continuity, we re-establish perfect harmony. And instead of resonance, which cause harmonics and cause discord, we have continuity, continuous cyclic behavior, channeled through you when you create this continuity. So if you're feeling stuck in 3D and yearning for your ascension, fear not. It will clarify. Because I'm sure most of those listening to this have begun to experience higher dimensional experiences, as if reality is collapsing a little about them. They may be hearing voices, seeing things, lights, orbs, moving mists. Suddenly finding themselves in different places, having time disappear. And instead of pointing and blaming, I'm a victim, that did it to me, take it as a confirmation that what appears to be this hard reality is not that hard after all, and you can poke the stick right through it, because it's not really here. I saw a post yesterday of 99.9999% of reality is vacuum, and we don't know what the other small percentage is. And if you keep looking at it, the less of it there is. It's because it's a hologram. It's a holographic representation, so tied so tightly together that it has the appearance of being real. Because it comes with holographic senses, holographic sight and sound and smell and feeling and everything. It's all holographic. And it's just a representation of the information field, which is just that, an information field. While we're at it, and the Dec's deliberating and going on, I'll just say, from the one, the singularity from which everything comes, this is the inside view, we go through duality, which becomes cyclic. The cycles resonate, and the resonance creates a pattern, and it's the pattern that we experience. But we can also come the other way and start with, this is the unifying force. We start with the unity and go down through separation and organization, creating impulse, which creates the reality. the information field expressing itself through resonance and organisation and patterns and relationships to create the holographic reality you experience. But when we have collapsed that paradox, that hologram becomes the reality. At the moment, we're split. There's nothing in between, except the paradox. But when we finally create this joinder between the two, then everything becomes real and in harmony, with love and joy and no discord. And that is such a beautiful thing. And out of all of eternity, out of all the vastness of this universe and all the universes beyond, you, yes, you, have been selected for this task. Okay, there's quite a number of people on this earth. Some are not going to ascend. They're very, very few. The rest will ascend one way or the other, certainly eventually. But a small number of them are going to create this joinder, and it really actually only needs one to trigger it. And out of all those consciousnesses, out of all the infinite beings that there are, you looking at this video, you were chosen and selected. You made the choice to be here, to be the one that made this happen. Oh, I know it's a judgment to call you special, but that is pretty special. Fantastically special. And such an incredible thing to be here experiencing this. So, feel there is false pride, of course, but when you know the security, the sovereignty of your inner self, there is real pride of understanding how amazing, how great you are. So before I go on anymore, I'll send you all love and wish you the greatest happiness. Cheers for now.